Advisor 3.0 is back. Financial planners, are you ready? One day, over 20 game-changing sessions. On May the 15th, 2025, London is the place to be if you want to shake up your skills and network with the very best. Oh, did I not mention? National Tim Peake is a headline speaker. Yeah, that Tim Peake. So get your tickets now at advisor3.0.co. Don't just stay in the game, lead it.
This is Advisor 3.0, a show designed to help you as a financial advisor elevate your professional practice, transform your clients' lives, and take your business to the next level. I am Abraham Okusoya. Welcome to the show. Do women need different financial advice than men, or do they need it delivered differently? I don't know. What we do know is that women are less represented in financial advice. There is just under 20% of financial advisors are women, and that has clearly created perhaps a bias in the way that we deliver financial advice. My guest today is on a mission to change that. Sarah Roughsedge is a chartered financial planner and the founder of Eva Wealth. She's also a mother of 3 wives, sister, daughter. She originally trained as a neuroscientist, but hey, she decided that financial planning is way more fun. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Abraham. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. As I said before we went live, I have been trying to get you on the podcast for quite a while, and we finally managed to get the stars to align.
Yeah, it's brilliant to be here. I think this is my first podcast that I've been on, so actually for me, it's a big moment. So thank you.
Yeah, drum roll. Welcome. Okay, so let's dive right in. Take us through your career journey. You trained as a neuroscientist, and then you decided actually financial planning is the thing. Did he choose you, or did you choose it?
I think I'm one of those classics who fell into it. I'd love to say I had one of those light bulb moments and I decided that was the moment and that was the thing for me. But no, I fell into it. So you're right. My background was neuroscience and I thought that was the route I was going. I finished university, had a blast actually, went off, got my private pilot's license.
Wow.
It was just absolutely brilliant. And then thought, no, I need to knuckle down and do some work. So didn't really know what I was going to do, but knew that I loved the studies I had done. So pursued a career in pharmaceuticals. Pottering along, life was good, life was fine. And then in the background, my dad was an IFA. So I'd grown up, kind of grown up in the industry. I'd grown up aware of some of the lingo, seeing what dad was doing. He was very much an old school IFA, and but loved his job. And then he went through a really difficult time with his company. So he had to make a huge change to his company. He had to let a whole load of staff go. And actually, in hindsight, he was going through a breakdown. So at the time, I said, I don't know really much about finance, but I will come and sit with you for a day a week in your office. I'll hold your hand. I'll come and make you cups of tea and coffee. I can do your filing. And so I gave up a day a week in my pharmaceuticals role to help him. And during that process, it hooked me and it got me in. And I saw it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the numbers, anything like that. The thing that caught me was the impact on people's lives and opportunity to have the most intimate relationship with families and to help them on their journeys, to help them with their problem solving, and to help them sort of create the lives that they wanted to live. And that's what caught me and that's what got my attention. So I transitioned across. I started as his administrator. I went ahead and sat all my exams. And during that process, I guess, had the opportunity to see how I'd like to do things and how I wouldn't like to do things. I learned a lot from him, and he was great, but there was also an awful lot that I wanted to see done differently with clients. So being sort of quite independent myself, I decided that actually for me, I wanted to do things my way. Met my husband along the way. We got talking and said, let's do things our way. Let's do something together. So he went and trained as a financial planner as well at the same time with a different company. And then we came together and said, right, let's start Clarus Wealth. So that happened in 2012, just in time for RDR. So that was fun.
Wow. It's carry on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and in time for the birth of our second child. So that was also fun to throw into the mix too.
It's incredible journey, really. And indeed, then you, your dad was financial planner, and then you married.
Yeah. Although I'm just trying to think of the timings actually. I can't remember. He wasn't a financial planner when I met him,
Right,
so I can get away with that.
You converted him.
Yes, for my sins.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Clarus. So you started Clarus with your husband Simon. I know him very well. Have huge respect for. One thing, by the way, every Christmas, when everybody's thinking about their family, their life, fun, Simon sends me a message every year saying to me, Abraham, thank you, all that stuff. And I am always stunned by how generous and kind he is being, just with that simple messages that he sends to me, those simple messages that he sends to me once a year. I am deeply grateful. It moves me.
Oh, he's a pretty special guy. What can I say? He's like that through and through. That is Simon, inside and out. He's one of the most genuine people that you'll meet, and his heart for other people is just huge. So he's taught me an awful lot along the way.
But we're not here to talk about him. Let's talk about Clarus. So you tell me about the journey of getting Clarus off the ground and all the drama that goes with striking out on your own, and where the business is today.
Yeah, sure. So so we started Clarus on that first day of July. Ellis was born. He was born 8 days later. So we had we took over. We bought a section of my dad's client bank. Effectively, he decided at that stage he was going to retire. So we had a bank of 1,000 names, which were just names that he transacted with over the years. We wrote to them all, took a really hard line, and said, "This is us. This is what we're doing. If you want to work with us, this is how we're going to work. Here's our terms of business if you want to." And we took those that wanted to come, and we didn't take those that didn't want to work in that way. So right from the beginning, we had to kind of really carve a line in the sand and say, this is who we are, this is what we're about, and this is how we're going to work. Simon was newly qualified, and the clients that did come with us hadn't really known Simon. They only really knew me. Dad retired. I went off and had a baby, and Simon was left holding this huge ship going, oh, now what? So those early days were quite something. And we didn't actually, because of all the changes and because our clients were the most important thing at that stage, we didn't want to rock the boat any more than all of these changes that were going on were going to. So we didn't actually tell anybody that we had just had a baby. So, Simon tried to hold the ship steady as much as possible. I would jump in on anything that I needed to, just enough to keep a presence, keep everything going along. Meanwhile, like ducks paddling crazily under the water, trying to keep everything going. So it's we've got some lovely pictures of Ellis asleep on the desk, Simon working over him, typing away, all those silly things that you do at that stage in life. So yeah, fun memories. At the time, very hard work. But fast forward, because that was 12, 13 years ago now. And our focus with Clarus has been to be, I suppose, what you described as Simon earlier, that's what we want coming through Clarus. So we have focused on looking after our clients as best we can, being there for them all, whatever the time, not whatever the time, we don't do meetings at crazy times, but just being there for them regardless and giving them the absolute best service that we can. And I think we've fostered this environment where clients trust us, they love us, we love them. We're just, that being too gushy, we're just one big happy family at Clarus is what it feels like. And that's been really intentional. So it's been a slow, steady, intentional sort of growth for us over the last 12, 13 years.
Incredible stuff. So tell me about Eva then. What is driving what is Eva and what is driving this the need to create you know Eva as you know as a different business, if you like.
Sure. So this, you'll see my passion come out now.
Hmm.
So Eva is, it's our trading style that focuses on financial planning for women. And Eva started really when we were trying to think about, well, what is it that women need differently? Do they need anything differently? Should we be doing anything differently for women? And really, it was instigated by my journey through financial services. So when I came into the industry, it was hugely male dominated. Any event that I went to, A, I'd be the only person under 30 in the room. B, I'd be the only female in the room. And then I'd always be asked, whose secretary are you? And,
Mm.
all of this kind of thing. Um, and it just struck me that actually I I was competent, I was qualified, I had a fire in my belly, but still it was an intimidating environment for me. And so what must it be like for female potential clients looking for a financial advisor? So I started looking into that and started contemplating that. And it's been a slow journey because we have Clarus to run at the same time, and we've got family to run, to manage between us, and we're both trying to be in the business together, and all of the juggles that brings. So it's been in some ways frustratingly slow because I want to have the answers. I want to have this amazing service for women yesterday, but it's been a really important journey because I think we've taken the time to really understand what it is that needs to be different. We're still learning. We're by no means there at all. But it's allowed us to just test things out along the way and go, well, is this approach needed, or do we need to take a slightly different approach? And ask our clients along the way, what is it that you need? What is it that good support would look like for you? What would you like the approach to be with this aspect of your financial planning? And so it's been as slow as, everything we do has been very intentional and very slow again, just to make sure that actually we're doing things the way that we want to, and the way that they should be done for us. So the last year, we've put our foot on the pedal and managed to accelerate things. So up until that point, it was really kind of testing the water, seeing where we were going. And like I said, juggling, although it's a trading style of Clarus, really, it's a second company, really. Everything that our branding's different, how we do things is different. So trying to wear those two hats, trying to engage the team and wear two hats, build two cultures, but within one, all of that, which when you start out, you have no idea about all of that. And you try and pick your way through. That's been, just interesting, shall I say, to try and work through all of that. But the last year, we came to sort of a bit of a point just over 12 months ago where I went, I'm not sure I can keep spinning all these plates and keep doing both of these roles. Actually, I really want to press the pedal on Eva. That's where my heart is. That's where I feel I've got a lot more clarity coming through now. Can I withdraw more from Clarus? Can I leave Simon? Can you run with that? Can I be released into Eva? So the last 12 months, I've just gone, whoa, full steam ahead. And it's been a really exciting 12 months.
Okay, what have we got? 700 advisors, 20 sessions, May the 15th, 2025 at London. After party, very important. What am I missing? Ah! You! Yeah, you! Listening to this. Advisor 3.0 tickets are selling very, very fast. Be sure you get yours. You don't want to miss out. All information can be found out at advisor3.0.co. See you there.
Before we went live, I was saying to you, I do feel clumsy about this gender gap, gender wealth gap. You know, I mean, and we see the numbers between, the difference in earnings, for instance, between men and women, the difference in pension savings between men and women, Um, and I am not sure, as a father of three daughters and a husband of one, I am not really sure. I fully understand why. Why do we have this gap? I guess you can talk about family structure and all that stuff. And more importantly, I am clueless about what we should be doing about it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge subject to unpack, isn't it? And I think certainly a lot of the women that I speak to, they will be coming from the angle of um, how do they structure as a family? How can they do this where she's come from a high paid, probably quite equal job, perhaps to her husband, but now she's had the child, and how do they manage that now as a family? Um, you have situations where actually the father's paternity leave is better than the mother's maternity leave. Like it's completely dependent on the company. And so I don't think that there is a set, this is how it is for women and this is how it is for men. You've got, the dynamics of different employers and their benefits and how that all works. You've got all these different individual threads that get woven into an individual family's life. And I think what I'm finding is my job is to help them unpick that. There's certainly this whole huge piece around gender pay gap and inequality. What I'm doing in my role at the moment is helping the individual families to sort of extract how can they manage their situation, to bring together how do they manage their different salaries? Is there a place for her to ask for a pay rise? Is that relevant? You can't just go out and, ask for pay rises. So we'll talk through, well, how could you structure such a conversation? I had a client the other day who wanted to talk through returning to work. What was the best way for her to structure her package? And actually, as we got talking, it was less about that, more actually, she wants to have some time with her children, but
Mm.
equally, she doesn't want to miss out. So the whole conversation went in a different direction. It's not just, well, this is the most tax efficient way that you can do this. It was actually digging deeper into what her values were and what did she actually want from it. So it's a hugely complicated subject because there's emotions, there's family values, there's partners, and you've got to weigh and bring to the table both sets of thoughts on everything. And yeah, it's massively complicated. So there isn't a simple answer, and there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, which doesn't help you with your girls at this stage, does it? Cool.
but I like your approach, which is tackling it from a more individual, individual level, because it will be different for every family or every individual even. And the thing I wanted to ask you is, traditionally, the loaded word, it is more typical that uh, the men will seek the advice and the advisor will talk to the men, and there is all these issues around ignoring the women or the woman, and even in the sort of the modern thinking around financial planning, we say things like, ideally you want to advise both the man and the woman, you want them in the room. With Eva, are you finding a different pattern? I, the women seeking the advice, and how do they bring the men in their lives into the meeting room? How do you navigate all of that?
Yeah. So I guess at this stage, because Eva has been a part of Clarus, if we've got couples or male-led couples, when it comes to financial conversations, they would probably, in most cases, find Clarus rather than Eva.
Mm.
So actually, what I found with Eva is most of the clients that contact me are either single or they most of them are single. So there are some families, And we've got the ability at the moment to talk to them about Clarus and Eva and say, where would be best for you to sit under. And where the female does take the lead in the conversations, actually, because she wants to be more engaged and she enjoys it, whatever, we will sit them under Eva.
Right.
But in a similar way, we'll want the male in the party to be involved in the conversations. But I think whether it's, Clarus and there might be the male is the lead, or whether it's Eva and the female might be the lead, I think one of the things that we've learned is it is vital to bring both parties into the conversation, especially when it's, you're talking about family finances. Probably like other advisors, one of the hardest things is advising a couple, but as individuals, because there are so many overlaps still. So you want to bring them both into the conversations. But actually what we're finding is it's about how you make all the information accessible to each party. So you can have a meeting together, but actually it might be that the party that doesn't take the financial lead, they need just a really simple graphic overview of what you're doing and why, rather than, all the ins and outs and the technical details. So it's just about, I think, it's about being accessible to both, maybe following up conversations at different times, having the main meeting together, but following up conversations differently. So you can go at their pace or to the depth of information that each of them needs, so you don't bore the other one in the meantime and lose them entirely. Also about events and building communities and plugging them in to different things in that way. And again, that might be separately rather than together, but they know that you've got them as a couple or as a family, but they can sort of dip into the bits that they feel are really relevant for them. But in doing so, you make sure that they're both looked after.
Talk a little bit more about that event and community and plugging them in perhaps differently. What do you mean?
Yeah, so I think it's very perhaps a more traditional financial planning offering might be you come and you have your annual review. We'll send you our newsletters. We'll meet with you if you need to during the year. But I think what we found is actually there's so much more connection that people want and can benefit from. And this is where you can add so much more value. So, we've had clients say to us, well, we're really interested in seeking funding for our business, but we don't know where to start. And how do we go about that? And then, you soon identify other clients that are saying similar things. So you can bring those clients together for those sorts of events and build things around that interest. Or it might be the classic is, a hobby. You take people to a golf course. That's a very traditional one, isn't it? Whatever it might be,
Right,
but you identify where wellness has been a big thing for us. We ran a brilliant event on wellness last year, and we brought together like a dietitian, nutritionalist, and a physiotherapist. So we looked at physical health. We then did a separate follow-on on a mental health episode. Things like that might, in a couple, that might tick the box for one of the individuals, but not for the other. But in addressing sort of the values and the things that are important to clients, they've then got the option to dip into the things that they want to go to. They don't both have to come to something that's not going to interest them. And it all has a massive impact on, total well-being, doesn't it? And financial well-being is one aspect, but we're interested in the whole person. So bringing those things together, that I think is a brilliant way of making the non-financial partner, dare I say, feel a part of Clarus or Eva, feel a part of what's going on without necessarily it being just about the annual review and how their investments have done and where they are in terms of their financial planning, whether they're on track. So, yeah.
So clearly the service that you, or what you do and how you deliver with the service at Eva is very different than Clarus. Do you price it differently?
Good question. We will be. So again, for us, one of the difficulties has been operating as a trading style. It's been very difficult to do things entirely differently. And so as part of the learning curve that we've been going through is, I think we've now reached a point where we've gone, Eva actually needs to be separate from Clarus. We find it too difficult to run the two intermingled. We feel that Eva needs a very different charging structure, service model, and it's just become too difficult for us to deliver that well within Clarus. So as part of where we're moving to over the next 12 months is we're bringing Eva out of Clarus to stand on its own 2 feet. So our charging model will be different and our service proposition will be different, but it's been quite difficult to do that so far as it being part of Clarus for us
That
personally.
that's really interesting. So tell me, in an ideal world, what will the charging structure for Eva look like?
Yeah. So interestingly, we've had conversations, as you can imagine, for years on this. It will be more of a fixed fee
Right.
model. Um, I love the idea of subscription fees. I think for women, especially, the feedback that I've gotten that works really well. I think for a lot of women, when they, well, certainly the ones that I've spoken to, when they first contact you, they they may not have been exposed to financial planning and have not necessarily worked with a financial advisor before. And although there is an expectation that there are going to be professional fees, I think it's quite difficult often, or I've found, for women to get their heads around, I'm okay with those level of fees because they don't actually know the value that they're going to get from it.
Mm,
I
mm,
think when it's, in the traditional percentage model, it's easy to disassociate from what you're actually paying. But when you
mm,
see the number and you go, well, am I going to get that much value from this relationship and the work that we're doing? I think if you've had no experience before in that, it's very difficult um, to be strongly convinced straight away. Much as I hope that my persuasion skills and me being able to sell what we do, it works. But I think that is a big hurdle initially when women aren't used to working in that or paying those fees for that service. So I like subscription models because I think it takes away that initial, oh, that's a huge amount to pay. Um, I also like where there's a lower initial fee, and then clients have the option of choosing which branch they go down. So they might pay a small initial meeting fee and have an initial overview of their plan and their options, and then they can choose to then either go in one route or another. And we've tried to address that thus far by sort of delivering 2 different streams of service. So we've got our full financial planning model, and then we've got what we call essential, which is at the moment a free service where it's more guidance and education, which has found it's just gained legs and is running. So that's we're doing a lot of work in that space, and actually we're hoping to move that on to like the next stage where it will become chargeable because we'll be delivering excuse me, even more. We'll be bringing financial planning into that, but sort of more AI driven and more not robo advice, but more of a hybrid, I suppose, in order to help that market of women. But yeah, does that answer the question
yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit?
Thank you. It does. Um, I forgive me, but I want to talk a little bit about take your thoughts on the structural issues around how advice is delivered to women generally, and maybe we'll come into uh, from a professional standpoint how we get more women into the profession. So I'm about to put a load of burden on you because people ask me similar questions around. Oh, how do we bring more Black people into the? And I don't know. I have no idea. Uh, but I'm gonna do it on you.
Thanks.
So there is awareness, some awareness in the profession that women live longer than men, and as the baby boomer generation who hold most of the wealth, uh, you know, as that generation ages, more and more of the wealth is going to transfer to women. We already see a significant chunk of the wealth is actually um, sitting with women. Yet, it doesn't seem that a lot has changed in the way that we deliver and approach the delivery of advice. What should be changing?
Oh, that's a small question, Abraham. um, so I think first of all, like this was something that I thought about early on in the journey. The advice itself isn't necessarily different. So I think what you've said, the delivery of the advice, that's really key. And I think that we operate in a regulated environment, so that's going to constrain us in many ways as well. I think where we can really differentiate with women and deliver differently, I think around the whole coaching piece, and the non-regulated side, I think there is so much that we can do in that space in terms of like initial education and mindset, behavioral, finance, all of that piece. I think that there is so much that we can innovate in there in how we go about doing that, how we bring clients on the journey. Then the actual delivery of the financial advice, the regulated aspect, certainly there's still work that we can do there. But I think that certainly for me, my focus in that earlier piece is where I think that we can make some real inroads and some difference.
And it's also been said that the profession of financial advice lend itself, the skills that you need, it's lend itself to that feminine nature. And forgive me if I'm going too much into focusing too much into on this. Yet, as I said, I think the figure is like 18% of financial advisors are women. And you alluded to earlier on, you're in this like this really interesting quota of younger and female financial planner.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to have more Sarah, more Sarahs, in the profession? um what needs to change? What are the barriers?
What are the barriers? I think it's a really difficult one because I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and it has changed enormously already. The rate of change might still be much slower than we'd all like to see, but the difference is huge. And yet I'm successful. I run my own business, but put me in a room and ask me to introduce myself to someone and say what I do. Every single time, still without fail, I go, I've got to tell them I'm a financial planner. And I think there's still this stigma attached that's hung over from the old way of doing things, the old, commissions and direct sales and things like that. I do think there is still a stigma attached to it. So I think we within the profession need to do more work on ourselves. I might just be talking about myself, but I'm sure if I feel it, other people must feel it too. But we need to be much more proud of what we do, I think, for that to be portrayed and for it to encourage people to come into the profession. But I think certainly from a female aspect and encouraging more women to come through, we just need to keep doing what we're doing. So those of us that are putting our voices out there and saying, this is great, look at what we're doing, look at the impact that we're having on people's lives. If we keep doing that, it might be a slow trickle, but it's going to start making a change. One of my, I think, most honored testimonials that I had was from someone that came on my free essentials program. And as a result, she has now become a financial coach herself and is coming through into the profession. And I mean, I didn't know her to start with. She found me on social media. She engaged with the program, and to have that feedback was just hugely rewarding, because you think, I think I've identified something that we need to do something about, but I'm just going about my business, doing my thing, but I'm having an impact on people's lives. And the ripple effect of that is we're then seeing more people come through into the profession. But it's slow, isn't it? And I don't know what the answer is to have a massive conversion rate and bring loads more women into the profession until, I suppose, every firm makes it a welcoming and exciting place to work for women. It's going to take a while still.
It is indeed, and you alluded to this earlier on, which is what I find. This is just my observation. Role modeling is a powerful thing, right? And I find that men in our profession are just a lot more shouty and vocal about what they do, and which is great, right? uh, to a point. And women, I really struggle. I reach out to women financial planners who are doing great work. I want to get them on the podcast, and it takes ages, Sarah. I'm being honest. And then the conference is another thing. I know these people are great. We see their financial plan, we see their work we hear about them in private. And then I said, I said to one amazing financial planner who's running a great business and leading people and all. Then I said, I'd like you to be on stage. And she said, but Abraham, that terrifies me. I wouldn't want to stand in front of people. So how do we what do we do about that? Because I think it's important, it's really crucial to have voice. And there are voices, like yourselves. You're not shouting, not nearly as much. It's taking time to even get you on the podcast. What do we do about that?
Do you know what struck me as you were saying that? In a similar way to how I've seen perhaps a different approach needed with female clients, maybe rather than being stood up on a podium giving a talk to a room full of people, maybe smaller breakout groups or workshops, that kind of thing. When you think about, like you said, just the makeup of a lot of women, and I know we're talking very generically, obviously, just to throw that in there to calm anyone down that's going, well, women. But women are great at chatting. It is how we often work. Some people chat more than others, but those small groups, those intimate discussions, that's what women typically are really good at. So maybe we need to organize more events like that. And out of that, then, you'll get a collective group of voices talking about something and moving things forwards. Yeah, it often seems, I think women often come across when they're really shouty and really bold, and actually it's not seen as a good thing. And whereas for men, it doesn't seem so bad. So yeah, maybe we just need to approach it differently.
That I've learned something. Definitely. Thank
There
you
you
for that.
go.
That's very useful. Anyway, let's go back to the business. So as we start to wrap this up, tell me a little bit about what did you find most challenging with the process of getting Eva off the ground, and all that stuff, and start building a brand, all that stuff.
Mm. I think the most challenging thing has been trying to do it as part of still operating Clarus. So I don't think it's necessarily too difficult to do it as part of an existing brand and establishing your own brand. I just think in terms of the headspace and being able to give it the focus that it needs, I think you need someone that's really committed to doing that as their main role. To still operate Clarus and see all the Clarus clients, to drive the company forwards with Simon, to do that piece, and then have the headspace and the time to effectively push another company forwards as well. I think that's what's been the biggest challenge. So I've been really fortunate to have a wonderful marketing person that works with us, and she has done loads of work around our brand and helping to get that out there. I'm awful at social media, and that's probably her biggest bugbear with me, is that you've got to be more present. You just get your voice out there. I'm like, I can't even think about doing that right now. But the times that I have, the engagement that then builds has been amazing. So she is absolutely right. I've just got to get on and do it. And the other thing I found is, again, building communities. So either plugging into existing communities or starting to grow our own. That's really helped, I think, build the brand and put us out there. So yeah, I would say like the biggest things really have been finding the headspace to be able to really dedicate myself to it and move it forwards. Have like a right-hand person that can help you with that, because, you know, as a financial planner, we're meant to be good at technical stuff, people skills, marketing, you know, everything. And I, for one, am not good in all those areas. So having people that you can call on to help you with those things, and actually just to enjoy the process. That's been a real change for me over the last year, is enjoying building the communities, enjoying meeting people. And before, I think it was a pressure. I've got to be serving my clients. I've got to be at my desk looking after people. Now it's a real enjoyment building these connections, seeing where the business is going, seeing what opportunities are out there. So yeah, I can't remember if that comes back around to your original question
No,
or
it
not.
does.
But
It does. Thank you. So we're sitting here in what, 24 months, 36 months. Describe Eva to me.
Eva is shining. I'm so excited about the coming months and years. So Eva is stood on its own 2 feet, and it is serving clients brilliantly. It's got its distinct group of sort of what I would say full fat financial planning clients who, you know, those individuals with lots of assets and wealth that they need all the technical expertise with, also the hand holding and the emotional and behavioral coaching to live their best lives yet. So we've got those clients that are being looked after really well. And then we've got our proposition for clients who aren't currently served very well in financial services. And we've got a proposition for them, which we're currently building, but that will be reaching, I'm hoping it'll be reaching hundreds to thousands of women. Maybe not in 3 years. Let's talk hundreds in 3 years, but it's women who recognize they want help and they want assistance, but have got, you know, they can't approach a traditional financial planning firm. They don't have the wealth, they don't have the confidence, but this is where I'm hoping that they will start their sort of educational journey before them being able to go on and reach their full potential. So I've got these 2 streams. In 3 years' time, they will be functioning brilliantly. I can't even think about team and things like that, but that's my dream at the moment. So, and yeah, it's full steam ahead on that.
So if there is one thing that you could leave our listeners with today, what would it be?
I would say that don't presume that women either don't want to be involved in the conversations or they don't have the ability to understand investments, or, you know, any of these presumptions and things that you hear talked about all the time. Just treat each person as an individual, and their own unique situation is what makes them them. And this is the same, men or women, that they'll come to you with their experiences, their, you know, where they're at, their past baggage. And actually, we've got such a privilege to be able to speak into their lives, help them unpick where they are and help them formulate where they're going. Women do need a slightly different approach often than men, but there is so much opportunity out there and there is so much that we can be doing. So, yeah.
It's been wonderful talking to you, Sarah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. For our listeners, you can find more about Sarah, evawealth.co.uk. How did you get that URL? I mean, I can't believe you. It must have cost a fortune to get that.
I got in there early, I think.
You did. I have like, I don't know, 20 more, must be more than that, 40 different URLs that I've registered over the years, never done anything with. But yes, evawealth.co.uk. And we've been talking to Sarah Roughsedge. Sarah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's show. Massive thanks to my production crew, especially Jake Osha, Melissa Canham, and the entire team. And of course, to our sponsor, Timeline, the market leading provider of integrated planning technology and model portfolio service to advisors. I do hope you've enjoyed today's show. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us your review there. Until next time, goodbye.
Advisor 3.0 is back. Financial planners, are you ready? One day, over 20 game-changing sessions. On May the 15th, 2025, London is the place to be if you want to shake up your skills and network with the very best. Oh, did I not mention? National Tim Peake is a headline speaker. Yeah, that Tim Peake. So get your tickets now at advisor3.0.co. Don't just stay in the game, lead it.